I started tattooing in around about 1978. The first tattoo I did it in the front room of my grandmother's house with an old machine made from the workings of a front doorbell ringer, because the old-fashioned doorbells, which had the big round bell on the outside and a little hammer that hit it, that's exactly the same workings as a tattoo machine. It's like an electromagnet. So I had this machine. I didn't know anything about tattooing, but I had a machine with a needle already in it that this old-time tattooist had given me. I got this kid Julio around my house, set up a train transformer from a model train set and tried to do a dagger on his arm, which was pretty unsuccessful, you know, wasn't very good. With tattooing, you always have trends that exist within it, and these can be music driven, celebrity driven, film driven, even military conflict driven, you know. I mean, we see that with how popular patriotic tattoos became when the two world wars were on. You see it with bands. You know, the influences can be very celebrity driven, and that can be quite short lived in a way. At one time, Pamela Anderson, she had a barbed wire armband tattooed on her, so there was a lot of people getting barbed wire armbands.
For a while, religious sleeves were the thing, and that all stemmed, you know, even if you were slightly religious or you had Irish or a Catholic or Italian background, I think a lot of it stemmed from Beckham getting his big religious work. I've been tattooing now for about 17 years. Being into bands like Guns N' Roses and Metallica, back when I was a teenager, all of their logos are very tattooable designs, so I would sit and copy them at home and on my school textbooks and stuff. And from there I went on to drawing on my friends for their dinner money and stuff like that. And it just led on from there, really.
I got into tattooing, I feel, for a combination of reasons. One was that I was very much into the rock and roll scene, the 1950s style rock and roll scene, and most of the old-time tattooists wouldn't cater for punk rock designs, so I had managed to get a kit, a kind of starter kit. I started to tattoo loads of punk rockers and loads of punk rock designs, and that's kind of how I made a bit of a name for myself, as being one of the first people that was catering for a lot of the subcultures.
When I first started tattooing, a lot of people got lots of palm-sized pieces tattooed. Everything was a section there, then a section there, and then a section on the forearm. Whereas in the years that followed, people were getting more coverage quicker.
If you saw somebody with a full back piece or a bodysuit, it was incredible, you know. It was as if that person was a mysterious person, somebody who had gone through this rite of passage.
And now you'll get 18-year-olds come into the studio and they know that they want their entire leg done, their entire back done, and their neck. And they might not even know what style they want yet, but they know they want the coverage. It's happened quite gradually, but the last 5 years, it's just become more extreme, which is, it's great. I love doing big work.
I think the social acceptance of tattooing is much, much more relaxed because of the people that are getting them. Like, if your mum gets a tattoo done, it's different to the guy down the street who's a bit of a troublemaker, you know. I can remember when I was a kid, we used to call it multicolour prejudice, because sometimes you'd go to a club or a bar or a pub, and because they saw you had tattoos, it was no admission. They definitely had the image that the person wearing them was a troublemaker or a roustabout, or, you know, not somebody you'd want in that establishment. But now you see people's grandmothers getting them done, you know, politicians.
Yeah, I tattoo lawyers, you know, I've tattooed a judge. You know, I tattoo lots of police. I tattoo, you know, lots of people in positions of power, if you like. I just think it became cool to be a little bit alternative for everyone, in every walk of life.
When I first started, the sort of demographic for tattoos was mainly white working class kids, 18 to 30, 35 years old. Very few women, lots of women that got tattooed were perceived as being of loose morals and that. So
I think it's so much more acceptable now that the boundaries are becoming blurred, and there are no boundaries really.
where will tattooing be in 10 or 20 years? I think there will be a big market in laser removals, because I think there's so many people getting tattooed so much, so fast, so heavy. The biggest threat to tattooing comes from within itself, with some of the crazy stuff that you're seeing being done. It won't be long before some puritanical politician decides that they want to stop that. Also, I do think people will get a bit bored with it.